Welcome to the news on Enyimba TV. We are reaching you from the commercial city of Abia. First, the headlines. Normal business activities return to Abia after sit-at-home occasioned by nationwide protests. Gunmen kill 7 community leaders in Umucheke, Onibo local government area of Imo State during meeting. President Tinubu addresses Nigerians, calls for end bad governance protests. Thanks for joining us on the news at this time. I am Mary Ihejirika. Now the news in detail. Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Oti has thanked Abians and residents alike for heeding his plea not to join the protests against hunger and hardship going on in the parts of the country. Governor Oti, who expressed his gratitude while observing the Sabbath worship at the Seventh-day Adventist Church School Road in Abia, said that there were peaceful channels of protesting against hardship in the country, but not through violence. He noted that disrupting the activities of those whose daily bread depends on going out daily in the name of protest will end up worsening the problems. Governor also promised that School Road in Abia will soon be fixed. Normal business activities have returned in Umuahia, Abia State capital, after the sit-at-home by residents occasioned by the nationwide #End Bad Governance protest. The protest, which saw many youths in different parts of the country marching along streets and carrying placards, however, was not witnessed in the whole of Southeast region, as some residents stayed indoors while others go about their normal businesses. Some residents who expressed mixed reactions said they listened to advice from leaders and stakeholders from the region not to protest, even though the protest was for good. The newly coronated king of Arochukwu Ancient Kingdom of Abia State, Eze Aro, His Eminence Dr. Eberechukwu Oji, has been restrained by court from parading himself as Eze Aro. This is coming barely 1 week after the glamorous coronation ceremony of the oil magnate and pastor-turned-monarch. There had been a tussle over the royal stew between Dr. Eberechukwu Oji and his kinsman, Godwin Kanu Ide. The restraint order, dated July 31, 2024, was issued by an Abia State High Court sitting at Nwago Isochi before Justice Chido Wakama. The claimants are arguing that Eze Godwin Kanu Idie Kanu Okoro Oke was already crowned as at October 20, 2023. The order therefore mandated the state government to withdraw the staff of office given to Eberechukwu Oji. President Bola Tinubu has appealed to protesters and the organizers of the End Bad Governance protest to suspend any further protests and create room for dialogue. In a national broadcast to the nation, the president said Nigeria requires all hands on deck, regardless of age, party, tribe, religion, or other divides, to work together in reshaping the destiny of the nation. He also warned those who had taken undue advantage of the protest to threaten any section of the country. He cautioned individuals and groups who are exploiting the ongoing nationwide protests to promote ethnic intolerance in the country.
So those who have taken undue advantage of this situation to threaten any section of this country, be warned. The law will catch up with you. There is no place for ethnic bigotry or such threats in the Nigeria we seek to build.
President Bola Tinubu is ruling out the return of subsidy on premium motor spirits, PMS, famously known as petrol, during a broadcast to over 200 million Nigerians after 3 days of unbroken nationwide #End Bad Governance protests. The president said the removal of subsidy on petrol is a painful but necessary decision he took for economic reforms. President Tinubu also said his administration is ready to listen and address the concerns of protesters, affirming that he has heard their calls loud and clear.
My dear Nigerians, especially our youths, I have heard you loud and clear. I understand the pain and the frustration that drive this protest. And I want to assure you that our government is committed to listening and addressing the concerns of our citizens. But we must not let violence and destruction tear our nation apart.
People's Democratic Party (PDP) says President Bola Tinubu's speech, owing to the hashtag #EndBand Governance, did not address the demonstrators' demands. PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Olugonawa, in a statement, labeled the speech as a distraction. He explained that the president failed to address the real issues bothering Nigerians, which is the high cost of living, especially the rising cost of food items and the volatility of the local currency against major currencies, which has made planning almost impossible. In a related development, one of the main organizers of the nationwide protest, Deji Adeyanju, also described the broadcast by President Tinubu as a complete disaster. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka is faulting the nationwide address by President Bola Tinubu, saying it failed to address the brutal crackdown of hashtag #EndBad Governance protesters by security agencies. Soyinka, a close ally of President Tinubu, said the refusal of the president to address the matter in his speech is an endorsement and empowerment to the security agencies to continue towing the path of impunity. He condemned the use of live rounds to disperse protesters, noting that the protest itself is not unique to Nigeria alone, recounting how similar nationwide protests took place in France as recently as 2022 and 2023. The scholar further added that the nation is long overdue to abandon permanently, describing the use of lethal force by security agencies as old-fashioned. Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center has applauded President Bola Tinubu for his national address, urging protesters and organizers to suspend further protests and embrace dialogue. In a statement signed by its executive director, Awal Musa Rafsananji, the organization acknowledged Tinubu's recognition of the grievances driving the protests and his commitment to listening to and addressing Nigerian citizens' concerns. This is even as he has urged all stakeholders to heed the president's call for dialogue, saying open and constructive conversations are essential to addressing the underlying causes of unrest and finding sustainable solutions. CISLA commended President Tinubu's emphasis on the need for unity and collective efforts in reshaping the nation's future, calling on all Nigerians, irrespective of age, political affiliation, tribe, or religion, to work together for a better Nigeria. Nigeria Police Force is reversing its earlier claim that one of its officers was murdered during commencement of the nationwide hunger protest on Thursday. Enyimba TV reports that the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetakun, had claimed during a briefing that the victim was murdered while on duty during the protest. However, while giving updates on the police engagement so far, Force spokesman Muyiwa Adejobi said 9 police officers sustained various degrees of injuries during attacks by protesters, while one of them, who initially was reported dead, miraculously survived but remains in critical condition. Adejobi added that a total of 618 suspects have been arrested so far for various violent crimes during the protests. Hoodlums on Sunday morning chased hashtag #EndBad Governance protesters who gathered around the Gani Fawemi Park in the Ojota area of Lagos State. At 10:30 a.m., the major disagreements played out amongst the organizers of the protest in Ojota. A lawyer who was simply identified as JP came to address the protesters to leave the protest ground on the basis that President Bola Tinubu has addressed the nation. But another group led by 70-year-old Adeboyega Adeniyi of Peace Action Transformation insisted on remaining on the protest ground until further notice. The police later stepped in to speak to the small group of protesters to leave. Shortly after the police addressed the protesters, a group the protesters claim was sponsored came from the other side of the road to disperse them while security operatives watched. Protesters in Plateau State had their Sunday worship service at the old airport roundabout in Jos, where the demonstrators have been gathering since the commencement of the protest, which is on the 4th day. The worship service, which was attended by both Christians and Muslims, was a replica of last Friday's Jumat prayers offered by the Muslim faithful at the same venue. With an increase in number compared to the previous gatherings, the protesters temporarily converted the venue to a temple with praises and worship songs to mark day 4 of the protests. The protesters are not impressed with President Bola Tinubu's broadcast on Sunday morning, which they claim did not address issues raised by the agitators. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari says the country is expecting a bumper harvest before year-end. Food inflation has reached 40% according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), pushing the prices of essential commodities beyond the reach of millions of Nigerians. But Kyari, in a monitored television interview, said the federal government has measures in place to address the situation, including ramping up farming, which would increase food production. According to him, one of the reasons for the acute food shortage in the country at the moment is also linked to seasonal reasons. Gunmen on Saturday night killed 7 leaders in the Umucheke community in Okwe in the Enyimba local government area of Imo State. Indigenes of the area said the gunmen attacked the victims at the meeting held at the home of the President General of the community, who was also murdered. Commissioner of Police in the state, Danjuma Aboki, on visiting the community, described the incident as a very unfortunate one and that the command is saddened by the tragic incident. He said investigation has begun to unravel the miscreants responsible for the dastardly acts and make them face the full wrath of the law. You're watching Enyimba TV News. After the short break, the news continues with foreign, business and sports update. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. Now the news continues. We'll begin with foreign. U.S. Kamala Harris will name her running mate today as she prepares for the tour of U.S. battleground states aimed at turning excitement over her presidential bid into durable support that can power her to victory. All paths to the White House run through a handful of swing states, and Harris will kick off her 5-day run in the largest Pennsylvania as she builds momentum for her showdown with Republican Donald Trump on November. Fresh from winning enough delegate votes to secure the Democratic nomination, the country's first female Black and South Asian vice president heads into National Convention in Chicago in 2 weeks in total control of her party. And on business, the exchange rate for the Nigeria Customs Service NTS duties collection has risen to 1,618 naira 73 kobo per dollar, according to the latest figure from the service exchange rate portal. This represents an increase of 18 naira from the previous rate of 1,600 naira 32 kobo to the USD. The current exchange rate for customs duties payment is the highest since 2nd March 2024, when the exchange rate for customs duties collection stood at 1,630 naira per dollar. The increase in the customs duties exchange rate comes amidst the naira depreciating by 6.43% in the month of July. Data from FMDQ shows that the naira reached a 4-month low in July, fluctuating between 1,500 naira 32 kobo and 1,621 naira 12 kobo, surpassing the 1,600 naira mark. This depreciation happened despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's CBN attempts to address the official market's liquidity issues through dollar sales. And on sports, Nigeria female basketball team, the Tigress, made history at the Paris Olympics 2024 by qualifying for the last 8, claiming a 7-9-7-0 victory over Canada. That feat made them the first ever African team, men or women, to play in the quarterfinal of an Olympic game. Nigeria, 3-time women's Afrobasket champions, face a tough test in the North Americans, ranked 5 in the world. In another event, Nigeria's favor Ofili has qualified for women's 200-meter semi-final at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Ofili stormed to 22.24 seconds, which was her season's best to win heat 6 of the event. She booked her place in the semis ahead of Great Britain's Dina Asher Smith and Gambia's Gina Bass Batia. 21-year-old Ofili was denied participation in the 100-meter race at the ongoing Olympics in Paris due to administrative failures by the Athletes Federation of Nigeria and the Nigerian Olympic Committee. With a sports story, we'll wrap up this edition of news on Enyimba TV at this time. But before we go, here is a recap of the top stories. In the news, we told you that normal business activities has returned to Abia after sit-at-home occasioned by nationwide protests. We also told you that gunmen killed 7 community leaders in Umucheke, Enyimba local government area of Imo State during a meeting. And we told you that President Tinubu has addressed Nigerians and called for end to end bad governance protests. That's a package of news for now. Please join us for more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Click on the notification bell to receive alerts when new videos are uploaded. Thank you for watching. On behalf of the production team, I am Mary Ihejirika saying do enjoy the rest of your day.